What if the version of you they loved was just the version that didn't make them uncomfortable? What if your identity wasn't yours, but a performance you mastered to avoid abandonment? You stayed sweet, you stayed small, you stayed silent. Not because it was true, but because it was safe. But what happens when the role no longer fits and the script starts to rot in your throat? Let me ask you something real. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when no one needs something from you? We were taught to survive through performance. Caretaker, peacemaker, overachiever, good girl. Roles rehearsed so well, we began to forget it was theater. But survival isn't the same as selfhood, and eventually, your soul starts to suffocate in the costume. This is Empowered Shadows, and tonight, we're pulling the curtain back on the roles you outgrew, but never felt safe enough to release. Because the rehearsal is over, and who you really are is ready to take the stage. The roles you didn't choose but had to play. You didn't audition for these parts. You inherited them. The one who fixed, the one who smoothed things over, the one who stayed quiet so the room wouldn't explode. The one who worked twice as hard to be taken half as seriously. You weren't performing for applause. You were performing for protection. And it worked. It kept you included. It kept you needed. It kept you alive. But survival roles aren't meant to become your identity. Because the thing about performing for love is you really never know if you're loved. Only that your character is. You start to wonder, will they still choose me if I stop being what they expected? If I said no? If I didn't soften every truth? If I didn't laugh to make things less heavy? You start to realize the version of you they cling to is the version that doesn't inconvenience them. Not the real you, the rehearsed you. The one who learned that authenticity was a risk you couldn't afford to take. And the longer you wear that role, the more you forget what your own voice sounds like. But underneath the lines, underneath the mask, she's still there. Not the fixer, not the forgiver, not the good girl, the real one. The real one waiting to be remembered. Performance as protection and the cost of staying hidden. You didn't perform because you were fake. You performed because it felt safer than being fully seen. Because being seen meant being judged, being rejected, being punished. So you became what they could accept, smaller, softer, more helpful, less complicated. You'd held your breath for decades, just trying not to be too much. But here's the cost no one tells you about performance. Eventually, you lose track of what was real. Not because you're a liar, but because you were trying to stay alive in systems built to erase you. And sometimes the scariest thing is being rejected. It's realizing you were never truly loved in the first place, only tolerated in the role you played. Because when you stop performing, people leave. They lash out. They say you've changed. They call you difficult, distant, selfish. But what they're really saying is, I don't know how to control this version of you. And that's not your burden. Because the self you're becoming, she doesn't audition anymore. She doesn't sacrifice her voice for belonging. She doesn't rehearse her feelings before speaking. She shows up real, even when it costs her the roles she used to survive. You can stop auditioning now. You've played the part perfectly. You memorized the lines, smile at the right time, softened your tone, dimmed your intuition. You made everyone else comfortable, even when it hurt. But now, you don't want the role anymore. Not if it means losing yourself again. Not if it means filtering your truth to be accepted. Not if it means performing healing instead of living it. You don't need to be the fixer. You don't need to be the strong one or the peacekeeper in a war you didn't start. You are allowed to stop rehearsing. Because the life you want can't be built on someone else's script. You weren't born to be everyone's relief. You weren't born or meant to be easy to manage, quiet to love, or small enough to carry. You were born to be true, to take up space without apology, to speak with the fullness of a voice that was once silenced for survival. And the people who only knew how to love the version of you who dimmed her truth, they never really loved you. Just the control your performance gave them. But now that that silence has cracked, the real you is ready to speak. Not as a role, but as a reckoning. When the role falls away and you finally breathe, it feels disorienting at first. Like losing a job you secretly hated but depended on. Like walking off a stage after a lifetime performance and realizing you never rehearsed who you really are. There's a grief. Grief for the time you spent being what they needed. For the praise that only came when you were convenient. For the moments you knew you were lying just to keep the connection. And underneath that grief, there's fear. Because if you're not the good girl, not the strong one, not the one who fixes everything, who are you now? It's okay if you don't have the answer. That silence you hear, that's the space where your truth will rise. And yes, people may leave, people will leave, let them. They were never applauding you. They were applauding the version of you who made them feel superior, safe, or in control. But the woman rising now, she's not here to be understood by those who only knew her in fragments. She's not here to win favor. She's not here to fit the frame. She's here to feel, to trust, to become someone she hasn't met fully yet. And that's freedom, not fear. Becoming the woman you were always meant to be. She's not loud, but she doesn't shrink. She's not soft for safety, but she's not hardened to survive either. She's not trying to be good. She's trying to be whole. This woman you're meeting now, she doesn't flinch when her truth makes people uncomfortable. She doesn't apologize for her presence. She doesn't offer a diluted version of herself to people who can only love her for her silence. This is a woman who comes forward when you stop negotiating your worth. And you will know when you meet her. You'll know when you stop explaining your boundaries. You stop flinching around conflict. You stop mistaking loyalty for self-betrayal. She's not the role. She's not the survival story. She's not the mask. She's the mirror of your healing. The version of you that doesn't need a script to feel safe anymore. You don't owe anyone the performance. You don't owe anyone the comfort of their favorite version of you. You owe yourself a life that feels like truth, even if it costs you everything that felt familiar. Don't be an accessory to your own spiritual death. Now that you've woken up, they'll try to put you back under. They won't use chains. They'll use comfort, memory, guilt wrapped in nostalgia. A soft voice saying, "But you used to be so sweet." But the version they're mourning, she wasn't alive. She was surviving. She was starving in silence. What they miss isn't your soul. It's the role. The one who contorted herself just to keep the peace. The one who played soft so no one else had to face their own sharpness. But that version of you died for a reason. And if you resurrect her now, just to keep the peace, just to feel loved, just to make others more comfortable, you're not being kind. You're becoming an accessory to a spiritual crime. Your own. Every time you abandon your truth to make others feel safe inside the illusion, you bury yourself. And this time, you know better. You know better. You know what the coffin feels like. You know how betrayal tastes when it's your own voice doing the silencing. Don't put yourself back on the altar to resurrect someone else's comfort. This is life or death. Don't let Don't let their longing for the old you be the spell that sedates the woman you fought to become. This time, when they test you, when they tempt you, when they beg you to return to the character, choose your breath, choose your name, choose your fire, choose your life. You already died once. There is no going back. If you can, place your hand on your chest. Breathe deep into it. That's her. The one underneath the costume. The one who never needed the performance. The one who's been waiting for you to remember her. This is not a metaphor. This is a return. Now say it just for you. Say, I release the role. I release the silence. I release the performance that kept me alive, but kept me from living. Let your voice shake. Let your hands tremble. That's not fear. That's resurrection. This is the moment you reintroduce yourself to your own reflection. No script, no performance, no permission needed. And if they can't love this version of you, they were never meant to witness her. Because this isn't who you became. This is who you've been since before the roles, before the mask, before the world convinced you you had to earn your place. You are no longer performing. You are becoming. You don't owe anyone the version of you they fell in love with while you were dying. You don't owe anyone the smile you rehearsed while your soul was breaking. You don't owe them the silence that cost you your voice. That wasn't you. That was survival. And now, the mask has melted. The stage has burned. The act is over. This isn't your comeback. This is your arrival. You are not a role. You are not a reaction. You are not a placeholder for someone else's piece. You are the truth that refused to stay buried. You are the voice that broke the spell. You are the sacred fire that knows peace without authenticity is spiritual death. So let them mourn the character. Let them miss the version of you who lived to make them comfortable. Because you didn't come back to life just to die in someone else's story. You are not here to rehearse. You are here to rise. And your light will never have to audition again. This is Empowered Shadows. Thank you for listening.